Now that you've looked at the compare cat example, it's time to get some practice. Nothing really makes sense until you've practiced it and had some more experience with it. So in this Lab 7 Num 1, we are going to compare circle objects, and we're going to compare them according to their radius. So something with a smaller radius is less than something with a larger radius. And these radii are doubles. So this is very similar to the case with the cat class, where we compared it on the basis of weight, which were also doubles. But first, let's look at main here. We're going to make ourselves an array list of circles, and here is the syntax for that. Then we're going to get some input from the keyboard, and the first thing that we're going to get is an integer that tells us how many circles we have. In other words, how many doubles we have to collect from the keyboard, which means we loop. How many times do we loop? However many we just took in. So a for loop will do nicely here, going from 0 to less than how many. And each time we're going to input a double. So you're going to get a double. That double is going to be the radius of a circle, so you're going to create a circle and you're going to add it to the array list. And if you leave line 18 commented out and you just deal with the output, you should be able to output your entire array list. Of course, Zybooks is going to tell you it's wrong because it needs you to sort, but at least you can verify that you got everything into your array list. And then we have to worry about sorting. When we sort, we need to compare. So if we go to here, I put the implements comparable in here for you. All you have to do is write the compare to. Again, very similar to the instance in cat where we compared weight. Once you have done that, you move on to number 2, and here we're going to alter the rectangle class to have a compare to. And we're going to say that one rectangle is bigger than another if its area is bigger. So in our rectangle class, and you'll have to add something to this line 1. And then the only other thing you have to do is write your compare to. So this compare to is going to depend on the area. So if the area of 1 is less than the area of the other, it is smaller. And with in our main is very similar. Declare an array list to hold rectangles, very similar to what we did with circles, only these are rectangles. Input the number of rectangles. So I'm going to loop that many times. Each time I'm going to input a length and a width, and they are doubles. I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm going to add it to the array list. If I have correctly written the compare, then sort will work, and then output. So again, very, very similar, just giving you a little bit more practice. Feet and inches class. I didn't give you all the imports. Declare your array list. Here, how many is the number of objects you're going to get. You're going to loop that many times. Each time you're going to input 2 ints, create your object, add it to your array list, sort it, output it. You're going to need to alter line 1 and then write your compare. How do you compare 2 feet and inches objects? Is 3'6" bigger than 1'2"? The answer is yes. How do I know that? I think the easiest thing is to convert everything into inches and then compare your inches. And that's the end. I believe that's the end. Let's just check. Yes, that's the end of lab 7. Lab 8 is getting things from an input file. Very similar, just more practice with input files. And the first one is just doubles. So not even objects. But we're looking to find the biggest. And when we find the biggest, I don't mean that we should put it in an array list and sort it and get, you know, one end or the other. If it's sorting from smallest to biggest, then getting the, you know, the last element. We don't want to do that because that's a lot of overhead. You're creating an array list. You're putting everything into the array list. You're then sorting the array list. And when we speak about overhead, we mean it's slowing your program down. We don't want to slow the program down just because we're lazy programmers. So here we get the first number and we declare it to be the biggest. Then we loop through our file. So, you know, while your file input.hasNext, you get another double, you input another double, you compare it with the biggest. If it's bigger, you save that as the biggest. If it isn't, you don't care. After your loop, output the biggest. And now we do the same thing, only with rectangles. And again, we are not storing them in an array list this time. So we're going to get the first rectangle and make it the biggest. That means we get the first 2 doubles, make it into a rectangle, and declare that this is the biggest. And then a while loop, while file input.hasNext, get 2 more doubles, make a rectangle, see if it's bigger than the biggest, and if it is, that's the new biggest. How do I know if it's bigger than the biggest? Oh boy, now I have to make sure that I have a compare to. Well, you know what? Hopefully you wrote the correct compare to in lab 7. So you're going to have to alter this first line and probably copy from lab 7, and then you should be fine. And very similar with number 3, but this time it's with circles. But I haven't given you anything in main, so, you know, create a main. I have given you something almost right. This is not the right first line, you need to alter it. And somewhere you have to write yourself a compare to.